Once upon a time, in a cozy little house, there lived a chinchilla named Chloe and a parrot named Pete. Chloe was a soft, fluffy gray chinchilla with big, bright eyes, while Pete was a colorful parrot with bright green, blue, and yellow feathers. Chloe and Pete were the best of friends and loved nothing more than going on adventures together. They would explore every inch of the house, from the living room to the kitchen to the bedrooms. They were always finding new things to do and see, and they had a lot of fun together. One day, as Chloe and Pete were wandering through the house, they came across a mysterious door that they had never noticed before. It was hidden behind a big potted plant, and it looked like it hadn't been opened in a long time. Curious as always, Chloe and Pete decided to see what was behind the door. They pushed the plant aside and tried to open the door, but it was stuck. They tried harder and harder, but it wouldn't budge. Just as they were about to give up, Pete had an idea. He flew up to the doorknob and used his sharp beak to wiggle it back and forth. After a few minutes of hard work, the door finally creaked open. Chloe and Pete couldn't believe their eyes when they saw what was inside. It was a secret room, filled with all sorts of interesting things. There were boxes and boxes of old toys, a big chest filled with costume clothes, and even an old, dusty telescope. Chloe and Pete were so excited that they didn't know where to start. They decided to start by looking through the telescope. They climbed up on a chair and looked through it, and they were amazed by what they saw. They could see all the way to the moon and the stars. It was like they were flying through space. After they had explored the telescope, Chloe and Pete decided to play dress up. They found all sorts of fun clothes and costumes in the chest, and they had a great time trying them on and pretending to be different characters. As the day turned to evening, Chloe and Pete started to get tired. They had had so much fun exploring the secret room that they had forgotten about the rest of the house. They decided to head back to their own room and get some rest. As they snuggled up in their cozy beds, Chloe and Pete couldn't wait to go on more adventures together. They fell asleep with big smiles on their faces, dreaming of all the exciting things they would do together. The next day, Chloe and Pete woke up bright and early, ready for more adventures. They had a quick breakfast of seeds and fruit, and then set off to explore the rest of the house. As they wandered through the rooms, they came across a door that led to the attic. They had never been up there before, and they were curious to see what was inside. They opened the door and climbed up the narrow stairs, and were greeted by a vast, empty space. It was filled with old furniture and boxes, and it looked like it hadn't been touched in years. Chloe and Pete explored the attic, climbing over boxes and poking through old trunks. They found all sorts of interesting things, including old photo albums, a box of old costume jewelry, and an old clock that didn't seem to work. After they had explored the attic, Chloe and Pete decided to see what was in the backyard. They opened the back door and stepped out into the sunshine, and were greeted by a big, beautiful garden. There were flowers of all colors, a pond with a fountain, and a big tree with a tire swing. Chloe and Pete had a great time running and playing, chasing each other around and pretending to be pirates or superheroes. As the sun started to set, Chloe and Pete headed back inside. They were tired but happy, and they couldn't wait to see what adventures the next day would bring. The following week, Chloe and Pete had many more adventures in their house. They explored the basement, where they found an old ping-pong table and a collection of board games. They also played dress-up in the secret room and pretended to be princesses and knights. One day, they even had a tea party in the living room, using the good china and inviting all their stuffed animal friends. It was so much fun that they decided to have a tea party every week. As the weeks turned into months, Chloe and Pete's adventures continued. They explored every inch of their house and had a great time doing it. And no matter what they were doing, they were always having fun together. So Chloe and Pete lived happily ever after, always having adventures and making memories together in their cozy little house. The end.